This show is sponsored by BetterHelp Online Therapy. The world's in a tough spot. Build your inner fortress and achieve some peace during the chaos. Visit betterhelp.com/allies and get to building.
Hello and welcome to the Easy Allies podcast. I'll be your moderator, Brandon Jones. Joining me this week, panelists Michael Damiani.
Happy holidays.
Brad Ellis.
Bah.
And that's it.
The Grinch.
Bah humbug.
No, I love the holidays.
Okay.
Bah.
We're on Zoom because we're doing stuff remote. I just got back from Florida yesterday. And Florida's flying in the wind, man, in terms of the COVID regulations. So just to be safe, we're all going to hang out, do a lot of remote stuff, and then we'll be back in the studio next week. Also, Bloodworth is on vacation. Isla is on vacation. So it is just these two panelists. And because of that, I've stacked on the headlines and things that we can discuss. We also have 2 weeks worth of stuff that has happened. Ooh. Granted, it is over the holiday break, so there's not a ton of news, but some fun things we can talk about. And things that I've tailored specifically for these two panelists. But before we do any of that, we have to talk about the mistakes that we made in the last 2 episodes of the podcast. Oh. You two sit right there. I'm going to start that corrections music. Bam! All right. I forgot to close out Ore Wars in the December 17th episode, which I just always do. We joked about starting an Easy Allies cryptocurrency, but totally neglected to mention Dawn Bucks. Obviously, it would be called Dawn Bucks if we eventually did it. No plans to do it yet. I am, of course, way down, but I have to convince, 7 other allies. My custom Darth Vader PS4 that I snagged was for Battlefront 1, not 2. And I don't feel as bad because I went to the premiere event, and I think that's why they sent it to me. The contract from Grand Theft Auto Online is the 10th story update, not the 4th. Apologies. 4 of those are heists, 4 of those 10. The Dawn of Ragnarok picture Huber talked about shows Odin riding a giant boar, not an elephant. Little surprised he botched that distinction, but Huber also said emphatically, no Assassin's Creed protagonists have ever occupied the same space, which is why this DLC that they've added to Valhalla and to Odyssey is interesting. You think he got that one wrong? Technically, Shay from Assassin's Creed Rogue hangs out with Haytham, who is a temporary protagonist at the beginning of Assassin's Creed 3, and I think maybe in a couple other missions. And Connor and Aveline have also shared scenes with each other. And it's pronounced Leicester, not Leicester or Leicester. I think I probably said Leicester.
England, right?
Yeah, it's one of those things. Boston City pronunciations, speaking of Assassin's Creed 3, are also... they're tough. They're slippery. I mess those up on occasion, so apologies to everyone who lives there. Ending corrections music. Bam. This week, we lost a legend in the video game space. Everyone out there who is a giant fan of the NFL, Damiani, I think you probably would know the most about the NFL out of the 3 of us on this current episode of the podcast. But shout out to anyone who follows the NFL strictly from a video game perspective. This is a big loss. On Tuesday, December 28th, football legend John Madden passed away at the age of 85. A lot of people are saying, in terms of the NFL, like the NFL owes this guy. And Roger Goodell and the NFL coaches and everything are like, yes, of course he was great, but it's just like the football would not be anywhere near as well known it is today, specifically the fundamentals, the rules, the excitement around why a team does as well as it does, why records are so important, rests on this guy's shoulders. And he was the Kool-Aid guy of the football industry. Like he literally, the cover of Madden 88, he's just smashing through. And that's just kind of always the vibe that I would get from Madden. I've picked some highlights from his career for people maybe from our community who didn't know stuff about him. But I'm going to start with a long shot. Do either of you have a story about John Madden or the Madden gaming franchise?
I think John Madden was in Little Giants.
He's been in a lot of movies. He's been in The Simpsons multiple times.
That's what I remember him from.
He's in Little Giants. He did a cameo in that.
Yeah.
Gaming wise, it was probably when Madden came to PlayStation 2, like going into the game store and seeing the PS2 kiosk with Madden set up and just seeing how good it looked in person. I mean, it looks so bad now or so dated by today's standards, but go back in time with me and like it was just mind blowing. I was like, this is the most realistic thing I've ever seen in my life. This is so cool.
Yeah,
and I'm not even like really into Madden games. Like the only football game I really got into was Blitz, like everyone else back in the day. That was like the big one. But Madden was just like a juggernaut. Just like I remember getting it for Super Nintendo, like John Madden Football for Super Nintendo. And I played that one. It was all 2D, old school. But like for me, Madden's like 3D. Like it's like for so long, it's been 3D. Yeah.
Let's talk about Madden and Nintendo for a second, Damiani. I'm looking at the list of all the Maddens, and it's not a hard list to decipher. It just literally is annual, goes year by year by year. Changed names over the years, but there's Madden 64. An offshoot created exclusively for the 64. It was clearly labeled as like a different version of Madden, exclusively for the console. And 3DS also got like its own Madden, Madden NFL Football for the 3DS. That's interesting. Did they do that with a lot of sports, Nintendo, over the years, or do you think it was so big they wanted their own version on these two consoles?
I mean, it was. I imagine it was either a licensing deal or, I mean, starting with Nintendo 64. I mean, version differences because of PlayStation being, CD-ROM based and 64 still being cartridge based. So There might have been some decisions. I'm not very well versed in the early history of Madden development to say one way or another, but N64 did have a lot of sports games on it. Blood and I actually did a rewatch of some old Nintendo promo videos, and one of them was Nintendo 64 Sports, and I was kind of blown away. I was like, wow, there really were a lot of sports games on N64. Just no one wanted to play Nintendo 64. Everyone wanted to play PlayStation. So, so I imagine it was, there were plenty of Madden games on there.
NHL 95, for some reason, is just always in a collection of 64 games. Like, it doesn't matter what game store you go to. Like, I've seen that. Maybe it's just in our library at game trailers or something. It's fun to have, as the person who edits some of our reviews but voices all of them. It's interesting to follow your passion through Final Fantasy, Damiani. Follow your passion through the Souls franchise, Brad. And knowing I'm not going to be the one to review these games. And so I get the script from you, and it's like, okay, not only where's this franchise at, where's my friend at with this franchise that they love so much? And I had that relationship with Shane Satterfield for like 7 years. I didn't know anything about Madden, and then I would get the script from him, and it was really interesting to be like, I'm kind of on top of this franchise right now, only just because I get schooled in it every. What is it, September? When does that thing drop? It's just August. It just wins them. Yeah, it just wins the month. August,
I think it drops
automatically.
Like Madden Day or whatever they do. It's funny you say that because I've technically never reviewed a mainline Final Fantasy game other than 14. Like the single player ones, I never get to review one.
The Legend of Zelda. Okay, did we do it? Did we?
Yeah, you got to review Zelda.
That makes more sense, right? Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
All right. Cue corrections music. So apologies to everyone who knows this information. Apologies to people who are obviously getting, many mouthfuls of this on multiple podcasts this week because this is a big deal. But football's all about stats. It's all about fun factoids. And I just want to breeze through this guy's career because even knowing how big he was, reading this, like, damn, this guy had the Midas touch. He started on the playing for the Philadelphia Eagles in 1958. He was drafted 244th. So,
yeah, he really didn't get to play on the Eagles.
And he took an arrow to the knee and was out. He messed up his knee and then stopped playing. He started coaching for community college, but then came back into the NFL in the Oakland Raiders. And this is just one of those series you hear about in movies where they're just like, oh, the Oakland Raiders of that time period. Became the winningest coach in franchise history and has a winning percentage of .759, which is the highest among coaches in football's, quote, modern era.
Damn.
So the guy just won more than anybody else, plain and simple. Then, as if that wasn't enough winning, he left to become a broadcaster and won 16 Emmys and retired like a king in 2008. Franchise going strong, obviously had a great legacy there. But in gaming, John Madden Football premiered in 1988. There's one factoid that I knew going into this, and I'm like, I just need to verify this because I remember this being true. Do you guys know about the player count? Have you ever heard that story?
No.
The first Madden.
Does it not have a full roster of 11 on each team, like
It does,
on the field?
but EA pitched 6, maybe 7. They're like, so we have 6 now. We can maybe push that to 7. And Madden showed them the door. It was like, no, not for a second, because it's not football. And I love that, like, the guy doesn't know code. The guy's not playing games. Like, he doesn't know how big the gaming industry is going to be. After this year. And still was like,
Tecmo Bowl have on the screen. I'm trying to like do comparisons here, like NES, like Tecmo Bowl. I think had a full lineup, but even back before that. So,
but I wonder if there were a lot more mechanics specific. Oh, I'm talking on my ass. I don't know if I don't know if like Madden when it came out was much more of like a sim, if you will, of the industry, as opposed to Tecmo was just a fun arcadey kind of take. Regardless of player account, you just had more options. There was just more strategy, from what I understand. But yeah, and so it took 3 years for development. Came out in 1988. Which became Madden NFL in '93 after EA got the rights. We're still feeling those rights because it is the NFL football game. It sold, guesses, Damiani? You love those sales numbers. How many, as of 2018, how many copies?
Like the whole series?
The whole gosh darn thing.
It's gotta be, I'm gonna guess, it's gotta be upwards of 100 plus. It's gotta be like in the top 10 maybe? I don't know.
130.
Wow.
I'm sure it's up there. Yeah, I didn't check it amongst other franchises. $4 billion in sales reported in 2013. Again, way more than 33 games, but 33 annually since the whole thing started out. Have you two heard of the Madden Bowl?
Yeah.
What's the
Is it
Madden
just a
Bowl,
tournament?
Damiani? A very special tournament. There are Madden tournaments, but this
it
is a
involves
special
the
thing.
players, like real players.
Oh, that's sick.
And haven't they morphed it to like game player, like people play the Madden NFL game and people play real NFL team up together to play it now. I think it used to be just the players.
It bounces around. It used to be. I think what you're thinking of, and again, I'm probably getting all of this wrong. I think the Madden Bowl is football players now playing, and I think that's like just the tournament. Whoever wins the tournament of a typical Madden tournament, or maybe the year or a season or something, then plays celebrities and stuff. They used to have just famous like actors and hosts and stuff play, and then now it's like primarily they do it in the Super Bowl. They do it near the Super Bowl in the host city. It started in 1995. They still do it. And I love that the players can pick any team, so you don't have to pick the team you play for.
Oh, sure.
If you're like, no, I want to win this. Like, I love that. So that's Madden, man. I mean, obviously, you can read about this guy, and there's no better time to. But obviously, a big presence, and maybe as the more I think about it, the greatest gaming celebrity of all time. Like, does Tom Clancy beat this guy in terms of like people who actually care about Tom Clancy the person? Like, if Tom Clancy suddenly became alive and walked down the street, could you spot him? Like, I know he wears a hat. He always wears
Jones,
like Crimson
I'll
Tide
give
hats.
Madden the nod because I remember him on the boxes of the games. Actually,
There's Tiger Woods.
ain't seen Tom on those boxes.
Yeah, I mean, though, like he's been like one of the longest running as well. I mean, I can't think of any other like people who've had their name on the box like because he's actually appeared on the box. So it's like,
and he said multiple times, when the whole thing started, he's like, I'm excited not only just, football games are fun and football's fun. I love talking about it. But he's like, I'm excited about people learning the rules. I'm excited for this to actually to teach people about football. I don't know. I don't get that Tom Clancy vibe where he's like, well, I, wanted to teach, spy work and, inside government subterfuge and all this stuff. So again, I'm probably going to get lots of corrections for people who are like, well, this one person. But I just have, very little connection to the Madden franchise, and I just know so much about this guy, and just organically over the years, just being around people that loved him so much. A really great quote that I'm stealing directly from Wikipedia. I'm going to quote it directly. Madden once recalled a time in San Francisco when a Philadelphia Eagles player rushed into a hotel room asking, "Where's Madden?" When people pointed to him in the room, he said, No, not Madden, the game.
That's funny.
And he loved it. He was like, that's great, So like you were saying something interesting, Damiani, before we went streaming, where it was just kind of a question of like how long is EA going to keep that name forever? Like, how long are people going to know who he was? Obviously the next issue of Madden, the next tournament, like the next whole round of that franchise is obviously going to be very reverent towards him. But how do you see that going, just in terms of legacy and longevity?
I mean, I feel like, nothing's off the table, but I have to imagine if it continues to make sense. It's going to keep happening because it almost feels like Madden has become synonymous with the football video game genre. Kind of like when we say we want a tissue, we want a Kleenex. Like when you want to go roller skating, you say rollerblade instead of inline skates. Like that's like it's become a part of pop culture. Now depends on his estate who owns that, and like if they want too much money or something, and EA is like, well, we just want the NFL license. We don't like. There might be a point where money can change anything with this, but as long as both sides are, amicable about the situation, I think EA wants to keep it. I think EA wants to keep it for as long as they want. It's just if someone else wants to stop them from using it.
EA loves themselves a brand. I just hope he is credited. I hope he's known. It'd be nice to to have the legacy passed on, because it wasn't just big because he had money. It wasn't just big because football's big. It's big because he was big in many senses of the word. Shout out. Thank you, John Madden. Well done. Good show, sir. Not doing as well as John Madden's legacy is Ubisoft's.
Oh no!
So this week in Ubisoft having a hard time. Stephen Totilo from Axios, a lot of other people are reporting on this, but primarily I was reading the stuff that he was putting out because a lot of it was directly from conversations that he had with people at Ubisoft who are leaving. And they are calling it, I'm going to call it in the timestamps, the Great Exodus, but they're also calling it, quote, the cut artery.
Oh, wow.
That's bad.
Yikes.
Oh.
That's a little more graphic, for sure.
Translation, a lot of people are just bailing on Ubisoft. And Ubisoft has let people go. They have, had franchises that have kind of stalled, or games that, Beyond Good and Evil, Skull and Bones, you name it. Like, there's a lot of weird things happening. But specifically, Far Cry 6, which is Ubisoft's biggest game of 2021, 5 of the top 25 credited people have left. 12 of the top 50 from 5th best-selling game of 2020, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, gone. And Ubisoft's Montreal, where I've visited, actually, I went there, I think speaking of Assassin's Creed Rogue, I think when that came out, and Toronto studios are each down at least 60 total workers each in the last 6 months. Quote, one developer recently said a colleague currently at Ubisoft contacted them to solve an issue with the game because no one was still there who knew the system.
Jeez.
Damn.
Nobody's keeping the lights on.
Wow.
Yeah.
This adds to a lot of conflicting opinions, at least that I have about Ubisoft. How does news like this hit you, Damiani?
It just shows that they're not that they've been bullshitting about cleaning up their act and changing their ways. I mean, they keep saying publicly, their executives keep shouting from the rooftops, oh yeah, we've addressed this and stuff, and they keep gladly giving interviews saying that they've been doing it, but this tells a completely different story. Like, the numbers don't lie here. When they're bleeding, as that imagery shows us, that they're just bleeding talent, and talent is not going to stay at a place where they aren't treated like human beings. They aren't treated decently, and they have a history of these problems. And I feel like a lot of these people gave, in good faith, for all right, we'll give you a chance to redeem yourselves, because they probably love the games they're working on. Some of them might love some of the members of their teams that they're working on, just like the people who are causing issues there. They just wanted to see them, expunged from the company, and that's just not happening. So it's like, you don't want to waste your whole life there, and if you have the opportunity. I know not everyone does, but you've got the chance. I mean, I imagine most everyone who works at Ubisoft is incredibly talented and gifted, and there are obviously places that they can move on to if they're seeking talent. It seems to be just a situation all around that Ubisoft is just not doing the right thing.
Definitely not the right place to work at, probably, for a lot of people.
Yeah.
It's a lot like when it reminds me a lot of Blizzard years ago, when people started leaving that studio and they were making their own teams because they weren't happy with what was going on in that studio. And it's like, you heard about the same thing with Blizzard employees going to riot and said, because they're getting paid a good salary, and Blizzard, they're offering them peanuts essentially. And it's Ubisoft's changing as a company, not just internally, but what they're presenting the public in their games. And a lot of these devs might not be happy the route these games are going now. Assassin's Creed is a a more live service kind of thing. I know it kind of is already, but like further down that road, like I don't know. It's like, are we still gonna get sweet games like the Mario and Rabbids game, like a sequel? Are we gonna still get cool, fresh games like that? Or are they just gonna keep doing the same old Tom Clancy bullshit or something like that people don't want?
Starlink 2, Damiani? Starlink 2?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if that. I mean, they can do it on their own, but Brad bringing up Mario and Rabbids, I mean, slight concern for that game. I mean,
Yeah.
it has. I mean, it has a schedule and stuff, so it's supposedly coming out. But I wonder if the stories keep piling up about Ubisoft. Will Nintendo be like, yeah, we're not going to come back for a third one with you guys. Like, even if this one is well received, they'll just be like, this could damage some of their business relationships as well, because it seems, while it does not seem any company is above reproach when it comes to this, like, even when other companies are calling out everyone to like stand up, then like a story comes out about that company. So I'm sure all these companies have like, skeletons in their closet, but at the same time, like, until that moment happens, like you see a company that's just toxic, kind of like to deal with. They both deal with and being toxic work environment. You're gonna stay away from that. And I imagine there will not. I imagine no matter what, unless like they pull a miraculous turnaround this year, Nintendo's probably not gonna be working with Ubisoft again for a while.
Which is weird, because Ubisoft's been with Nintendo through like the roughest times. I mean, they're doing like Wii U exclusive games. Like they did Red Steel 2, a game that actually like used the Motion Plus and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Damn.
Can you imagine if you were like a hot shot Top Gun developer, like moving from one company, going freelance, like you're wide open, free agent, and you're just like, yes, let's go. And you are a massive, massive Splinter Cell fan. And then they just announce, hey, we're breaking ground on a new Splinter Cell reboot, remake. We're starting from scratch. And you're just like, oh, it's a dream come true, but God, do I want to work there? And a lot of people are saying that. Low pay is like you nailed all of them, Damiani. Low pay is like the only other thing that they specifically said was a reason. And like you said, Damiani, a lot of people said like the whole time I worked at Ubisoft was great. It was literally just this last year that I'm like, it's too much. I can't take it.
Yeah.
I know you care about Huber, Brad, and Huber cares about Ubisoft. Are there any Ubisoft games you're attached to? Any franchises you're kind of like pulling for? Other than we talked about Splinter Cell a lot recently.
I'm pulling for Splinter Cell. I want to be pulling for Skull and Bones, Jones, because it's a pirate game. But what it was before did not interest me at all. Like, I just want, just Black Flag 2.0, just open world pirate game, just like do its own thing. Like, I like Assassin's Creed 2, Jones, but like I don't love it. But at this current time, like Rayman's kind of in the background, so I miss him. Mario Rabbids, yeah, but I don't really care about their like shooter stuff really.
I feel a bit of disappointment, maybe, or at least I feel empathy towards fans of Beyond Good and Evil. I wasn't the biggest fan of that series, but 2, like, it's got to be, no matter what was going on with 2, with everything that's going on with that company, like, if it's still happening, you really want it to happen at this point with everything that's going on, and 2, with all the departures in talent and some of the stories that come out about the people involved with it, it's maybe just re-release the original one in HD one more time so it's easy to get and like call it quits. Because
make a movie for HBO with all those environments and walk away.
I mean, even the direction 2 was going. I mean, that was an amazing cinematic trailer they did, but I think
didn't really have an idea what the game was.
Yeah, like it was just so nebulous, and I think people just wanted like just make a simple follow-up to the first game, and you're probably never getting that.
They probably went. I think they were too ambitious, probably with the original ideas with Beyond Good and Evil 2, like they were with the first game, and they had to scale back a lot.
Yeah.
My God! Sorry, I just remembered about the Prince of Persia remake.
Oh yeah!
Holy shit!
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Is like we could do this all day.
Oh my God!
Do you either of you know what an attrition rate is?
It's the rate at which something shrinks, like
specifically
attrition.
with employment, though. The number of professionals who departed the company in the past 12 months divided by the average number of employees during that period.
No.
So it's like how fast are you bleeding out, basically.
Oh.
Yeah, wow.
You do not want to have a higher attrition rate. You want to have a low attrition rate, basically.
Right.
Gotcha.
LinkedIn reports on this, so trust LinkedIn if you care to. They list Ubisoft at 12%. Brad, what do you think Activision Blizzard's at right now?
11?
Damiani, do you have a guess? Activision Blizzard right now.
15.
16.
Ooh.
EA's at 9. Take-Two is at 8, and Epic is at 7. Which I'm sure all those companies, and they're probably right, are just like, another day, another dollar. It's just that's the biz. But that was interesting. I didn't know that was ranked. And it is interesting to actually get raw numbers in terms of like why this is alarming. There are many, many more specific details in Totillo and everybody's reporting if you want to read more about this. How do you think Ubisoft responded to these allegations that things are not going well, just in terms of their employment? You don't say. They claimed that they hired 2,600 workers since April. Their losses are still, quote, within industry norms.
Okay.
An internal survey listing, quote, would you recommend Ubisoft as a great place to work, returned a score of 74, which Ubisoft said is in line with the industry average.
There is no war in Ba Sing Se.
I understood that reference.
I know. I use it for you, Jones.
Are they delusional, or are they just another win that, like, at the end of the day, as long as you can just kind of plug your nose and pretend it's not happening?
Gosh. The cynical version of me just thinks that like lawyers or someone in that company are just like the analogy we've gone back to a few times, like the auditors who are like, what is it going to cost us to be transparent? What is it going to cost us to try and like sweep this under the rug? And they're probably like, you know what? In the long run, we'll probably be better if we just ignore this and pretend everything is fine. Watch, we're going to take this risk. Like it's probably the least risk. Like it's the least. Yeah, it's the lowest risk. Sorry, that's what I'm trying to say. The lowest risk for them. It could be that, or it could just be the person or people who are in charge are so delusional and don't want to give up what they have that they're willing to say whatever it takes just to like move on from this thing. And they keep trying to like whatever move. Like here's positive stuff. You don't need to don't look at this. Don't look.
They're a publicly traded company, so there's no way they're not gonna act like everything's A-okay. They're not going to be like, we got a problem here. They got shareholders to please. They're not going to.
Sure. It's crazy to think of 2021 when like all these lawsuits are flying around and I'm like, and then like all these people leave the company. It's like, okay, here we go. Like this might actually, the lawsuits, them actually going to court, like doesn't strike fear in a lot of their hearts. But like maybe this, have either of you seen Broken Arrow?
Yes, I've seen it.
No.
With Christian Slater and John Travolta.
John Travolta, yep. The nuclear missile heist. Yeah.
Yes, there's a fantastic John Cusack line from this film where he says, I don't know what is more distressing, the fact that nuclear weapons get stolen or the fact that it happens so many times that there is a slogan for it like Broken Arrow. Yeah. And that's how I feel about The Great Exodus, where it's like just a lot of things happening at Ubisoft, but like 5-10 years from now, they're going to be like, how long have you been at Ubisoft? Like, 20 years. And just like, oh, so you were here during the Great Exodus? I'm like, I was. I tell my grandkids about that.
Yeah, put that on the company brochure.
Jones, what's concerning about this to me in the long run is, at this point, with all the people who are leaving, all the bad will the company has, you're not going to be attracting the best talent as a company.
Of course.
All the best people out there aren't going to want to work for you anymore. That's a big problem.
Yeah.
That's why people saying Kojima's paying so much attention to Los Angeles, why he like really wants to put his foot down here again, after trying to at Konami, because there's a lot of people that are in town might want to, just like Splinter Cell. They're like, oh man, working with Kojima, that sounds like fun, no matter what I'm doing. So yeah, we want them to change. I will keep bringing up on the podcast various different ways that they can maybe think about doing it. Brad, it's almost 2022.
Ooh.
Are you excited for Elden Ring?
A little, yeah.
Are you familiar with the works of George R.R. Martin?
Yes.
Damiani.
Yo.
Are you familiar with this author's works?
Yeah, when he gets them out.
Oh. There. Well, yeah.
Damn.
The wheels were spinning. I made it happen.
He's very talented. Yes,
That guy can write. That guy can really create vast worlds. That's like one of the man. I'm not going to go on and on about Winds of Winter, but I will say one of the reasons it breaks my heart that this book doesn't exist is because I've read fewer worlds. There's maybe like a handful of authors that I have read that have created worlds, and I'm like, damn, this is big. Like, damn, there are so many people accounted for, which is really fascinating to think of, like how many crazy characters and factions and timelines and stuff like that he made for Elden Ring. The trouble is, we'll probably never know what the hell he did on this game. And the reason why I'm bringing this up this week, when there's any old week that we can talk about how nebulous his interaction is because on December 18th, when we were all on break, he wrote a blog post on his blog called, quote, Long, Long Ago, which is short enough for me to read in its entirety. And I do so because I know how much Brad's excited about Elden Ring. So you might find some of this interesting. A few years back, Hidetaka Miyazaki and his incredible team of game designers, the creators of the Dark Souls video game, one word, video game, series, reached out from Japan to ask me to help them create the backstory and history for a new game they were working on. Now, video games are not really my thing. Oh, I played a few back in the dawn of time, mainly strategy games like Railroad Tycoon, Romance of the Three Kingdoms, and Master of Orion. But this offer was too exciting to refuse. Miyazaki and his team from From Software, he did it, were doing groundbreaking stuff with gorgeous art, and what they wanted from me was just a bit of world building, a deep, dark, resonant world to serve as a foundation for the game they plan to create. And as it happens, I love creating worlds and writing imaginary history. So I did my bit and handed off my new friends in Japan, and they took it from there. And years passed. Video games are as big as movies these days. Bigger, actually. Thanks, G.R.R.M, for that. And take just as long to create. But the day of Elden Ring is finally at hand. And I've got to say, it looks incredible. Elden Ring will be released on February 25th, 2022. Thank you for the fine print there. He also linked to the story trailer and the official gameplay reveal.
Hell yeah.
Did you, in fact, find that interesting, Brad?
Oh, yeah. We knew about this for a while, though, his involvement with the game, about just setting up the mythos of it.
We didn't know he played Master of Orion, though.
I did not know that, yeah. But it is interesting. Like, none of the dialogue in the game is written by him or anything like that. None
of the dialogue on the show was written by him either in Game of Thrones.
Yeah, it's
very little.
Really, there's not any dialogue where it's like from the book?
It's got the Harry Potter problem where they're just like, I mean, there are many Harry Potter problems, but it's got the Harry Potter problem where they're like, oh, that was a fun scene. I'll write it into 2 lines. And you're like, okay. Oh. Like, I remember vaguely what that scene was about, and I'll do a joke. So there's like, Dinklage carried a lot on his shoulders of like, and here's that whole scene in a punchline. Moving on. And of course, when they ran out of book material, you could feel it.
Right,
you could feel that roller coaster start to dip. So yeah, how many people are going to buy this game because G.R.R.M's involved?
Because he's involved?
Yeah. What's the percentage?
Dude, I don't know. Like, the idea, I don't think he's like, his name's on the box or anything like that I recall. So it
might be on the back. Probably on the back.
Yeah, on the back maybe, but I feel like everyone that knows about this game isn't going to buy it because he's involved in it. They're going to buy it because it's From Software making this. I think it's just like a nice little sprinkle, little sprinkles on your cake or something like that. Just a little something extra.
Do you see this?
I don't think it's a deal breaker.
I'm just so curious because we know so little. This blog post stands out because he doesn't do these. Like, he hasn't written. Right. It's just been in interviews or been From Software speaking of what he did. But do you think it would benefit from him doing not necessarily a publicity tour, but like, do you think maybe they're poking him to say more and he's not? I mean,
I don't think they're poking him to do much. Maybe like once or twice, but I think they're probably I think they were just happy just to have him work with them in the beginning and aren't really using him as marketing material. Like, this blog, like, if the furthest marketing they get about is a blog post, I guess, I don't really expect much poking at George R.R. Martin.
Is this weird, Damiani?
I mean, it probably could. I think I'm with Brad. It probably could have been a bigger deal, but I think that would have been more apparent sooner. And just going by his involvement, that it was just crafting some backstory and basically it sounds like some bullet points for the story's direction.
Yep.
It's not like he crafted the world, told him make these enemies and like Brad's right. It's like it's From's, like hands all over it. Like, it's their fingerprints and their DNA is all in it. And I think the most you're gonna get is like G.R.R.M was a thing to get people to pay attention at first, because I think they really didn't need it.
No,
FromSoft's reputation, like even doing something ambitious and different.
These people are the world-building masters. You know?
Yeah,
So it's,
to me,
it's odd that they needed.
It was just, honestly, I bet it was just Miyazaki or something wanting to work with him. That's it.
Sure.
It wasn't about promotion or anything.
if they dropped, you know, 2, 5, 10 mil, 4 mil on this, do you think that was like, yeah, just go for it? You know, share your success,
sure.
try things out.
Sure, yeah. And Jones, honestly, as someone who's had their finger on the pulse of this game, I played a lot of it and stuff. It's like no one is talking about George R.R. Martin in this game when they're talking about this game. They're not talking about him at all. They're talking about the game itself.
Yeah. At best, it could have been a wild card where to expand the audience for the game. If they, like, just something caught on social media, like, hey, there's this awesome game, Elden Ring. Did you know G.R.R.M was involved with creating it or something? Like, just takes one celebrity or something, tagging him, saying that, and it spreads. And, like, that's probably all. If it wasn't, I think it's more what Brad said, that they just wanted to work with him because they're like, no, we're interested in working with him. He's a cool dude, and, like, we like his work. He liked our work. You know, this is going to work out. If it was not that, this the only other angle I see them playing is that, like, oh, this could potentially expand it, but Brad's explanation.
I mean, it's not a bad
sense.
thing to have his name on that.
Yeah.
No,
the guy
not
that's
at all.
known for making fantasy worlds. So.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, why the hell not?
It's just they are just an interesting developer, and so there's just
Yeah.
an interesting call, and I'm curious if it's going to play out, or we're going to find out in some like 10th anniversary edition of it or something. They'll be like, okay, let's get down to brass tacks and we'll talk about what he did. Because I'm curious.
Well,
and he's such an enigmatic presence now.
Yeah.
In books and movies and games. And everything,
he's a weird dude now.
He's a ghost.
But it's just like he's talked about it before, and he's like, they just sent me some pictures from Japan, and I think it'd be pretty. I thought it was cool, and like that's all he would say about the game, pretty much. So, there's like probably a lot of this game he doesn't even know about.
It's
not like he has to like write the ending to the game. He doesn't have to tell Miyazaki how the game's gonna end or something like that.
It's just all you have to do is read the first book, Game of Thrones, From a Song in Ice and Fire, and then when you're done with that book, wrap your head around the fact that this guy worked on Elden Ring and is like, I'm creating some stuff, and you're like, okay,
yeah, I just set up a mythos, just set up the world,
and
it's cool. I think what he set up is cool.
Oh yeah, I'm sure it. Again, it's just it's like two master chefs making one meal. It's like, what are you?
It's
just
sick
one's
when
fine.
Stuff like that happens.
Yeah, we'll see.
Jones, what I like about it is it's not two creative things coming together and trying to be equal on everything.
That's a good point.
It's just like him in this little section of this whole big project.
He has a mood meter on his blog posts.
That's funny.
This mood, the mood for this blog post is, quote, enthralled.
Yeah.
And it is a little emoji of an alien blinking, I think, and hearts are like flowing around.
That's
his
funny.
head. That's how he feels. If you want to know his emotional state.
It sounds like this is the kind of stuff he really liked because he likes world building, but he doesn't have to think about a lot of the other stuff. Like I don't have to think about where these characters go or how their story's going to end. It's probably awesome for him.
If you're curious what else he likes, on the left side of his blog post, there are a bunch of tags where you can click on different types of blog posts that he wrote. There's over 40 tags on the side there.
Oh.
Elden Ring is not one of them.
Oh. Ouch.
Do you know what it is? Do you know what is one of them? The NFL. Shout out to John Madden for going out into the world and teaching people about this sport. You got G.R.R.M. He's apparently a Giants fan.
Quick bet to think about. Will there be an NPC in Elden Ring that looks like him?
Yeah. Name like Merg or something.
Maybe.
Probably.
Not even voice acting. Just appears like him. Looks like him.
Sure.
I mean, everyone wears fucking masks in those games, so you can't tell.
Will it be easy to find them, or will it be kind of like cryptic?
I think it'd be really cryptic.
It'd be fun if he was like dead. You found a corpse with a beard.
Like a
rotting
I feel
beard.
like he would be into that, Jones.
I think he'd be way into that.
Yeah.
Either that or like full on brothel, just covered in women.
Yeah.
Which again, if you read the Song of Ice and Fire, it will stand out. But yeah, the game's amazing. So again, it's all water under the bridge. Doesn't matter how much you spend on that one. That game's gonna be great. And now, a word from our sponsors. Zoom in on me, baby. Even in this podcast version, I still get the close up, even when we're doing it on Zoom. Whether it's saving more and spending less, getting organized, or losing weight, there's a lot of worthwhile goals to set for yourself this year. At the top of your list should be learning a new language with Babbel, the language learning app that sold more than 10 million subscriptions worldwide. I have not been doing my homework. I have this app. I have accessed it. I'm curious to master Spanish or possibly German because Amanda was born in Germany, Spanish because I've lived almost my entire life in Southern California. Shout out to Isla Hink, who's not on the podcast this week, who actually actively has done work. Just like other sponsors we have with mobile components, there are games in here. And man, I mean, if we have proven nothing here at Easy Allies, it's the games rule, and it's fun to apply them in other things. Not only is learning a new language a fun and engaging new hobby, you can use it while you check off traveling more from your list. The whole Babbel process is addictively fun, fast, and easy. Babbel teaches bite-sized language lessons for real-world use. Babbel's 15-minute lessons make it the perfect way to learn a new language on the go. Just spend a lot of time waiting in airports, so it would have been a good opportunity to learn languages. Other language learning apps use AI for their lesson plans, but Babbel lessons were created by over 100 language experts. Their teaching method has been scientifically proven to be effective. With Babbel, you can choose from 14 different languages, including Spanish, French, Italian, and German. Never gonna try French, but God, I love hearing people speak it. I heard some people and I was on a nature trail and some French people walked by and I'm just like, God, I could just be a fly on your shoulder listening to that beautiful language. Plus, Babbel's speech recognition technology helps you to improve your pronunciation and accent. There's so many ways to learn with Babbel. In addition to lessons, you can access podcasts, games, videos, stories, and even live classes. Plus, it comes with a 20-day money-back guarantee. Start your new language learning journey today with Babbel. Right now, when you purchase a 3-month Babbel subscription, you can get an additional 3 months for free. That's half a year, 6 months for the price of 3. Just go to Babbel.com and use promo code ALLIES in all caps. That's BABBEL, 3 B's, BABBEL.com, code ALLIES. Babbel, language for life. We all shop online, and we've all seen that promo code field taunt us at checkout, but thanks to Honey, manually searching for coupon codes is a thing of the past. Honey is the free shopping tool that scours the internet for promo codes and applies the best one it finds in your cart. Honey supports over 30,000 stores online. They range from sites that have tech and gaming products to popular fashion brands and even food delivery. I was shocked how quickly and easily I was able to spend money over the holidays when it concerned anything regarding my 2-year-old. I mean, there's no decision. It's like, obviously, this is why there's so many shows on Nickelodeon. Obviously, this is why, I can't believe Toys R Us shut down. It's like there's so many ways, to get something really quickly. I got a Thomas the Tank Engine game, and it's just like, do you want $5? $5. And so thank you, Honey, every time that popped up, doing the Christmas shopping, it really encourages me to just almost do all of my shopping online because it is always so gratifying. Whether it can make that coupon happen or not, whether it can find something or not, it's always nice when Honey just waves at me from the corner of my browser and it's like, let's save some cash. Imagine you're shopping on one of your favorite sites. When you check out, the Honey button drops down. All you have to do is click Apply Coupons. You wait a few seconds as Honey searches for coupons it can find for that site. If Honey finds a working coupon, you'll watch the prices drop. We watch so many games load. It's just so nice to see money load. It's like, come on, baby. Big money, no whammies. Honey has found its over 17 million members, over $2 billion in savings. If you don't already have Honey, you could be straight up missing out on free savings. It's literally free? It is not free. It's free, and it installs in a few seconds. And by getting it, you'll be doing yourself a solid and supporting this podcast. Get Honey for free at joinhoney.com/allies. That's joinhoney.com/allies. And if you are a patron of Easy Allies, thank you. And Happy New Year! Yay! It's New Year, gentlemen. You know what that means? You know what that means? Yeah, games. Yeah, games. Yeah, announcements. Year-end lists.
Nah.
Oh.
For podcast moderators. It's low-hanging fruit. But I feel like I strike gold. Every time. It's also fascinating, like who does and when. Obviously there are NPDs. Those take a little while to tally. The end of January, we'll find out a lot of top-selling stuff. But then there's this Nintendo, which just releases a trailer. I love trailers. We're just like, hey, here's a bunch of indie games that, according to us, are like the top or the best. I don't know if that's most copies sold, most money made, most time played, maybe a combination of all of it. But they made a trailer. And I'm curious to throw all of these titles. Did either of you see this trailer for their top Switch indie games?
I've not seen it yet.
And also, when you talk about top Switch games, it's snooze, Mario Kart 8, blah, blah, blah. It's like we don't need to go into that. But it's interesting, especially in this last year, to see not only obviously the indie games that performed, but specifically on Switch. Daniel Bloworth loves to poo-poo any new record that happens. Like, no, Shin Megami Tensei 5 is the biggest selling entry in the franchise. Right. It's on Switch. So I wonder if that's the same is true for these games. Cyber Shadow These are also in the order of just how they were shown in the trailer.
Okay.
Unpacking, which I recommend playing on PC if you can, but it's still fun on Switch. Tetris Effect Connected. I've heard of these three. Stick Fight the game.
I've heard of... I think I know what this is, yes.
I've seen something for it at some point, yes. I haven't played it.
How often do you cruise the eShop, Damiani? How often do you just get away?
I mean, I did just recently because this... I think maybe I did not watch this trailer, but saw it tweeted because I think it also included, like, there's an indie sale that was going... I think it's over now. That there was Indie World sale for any game that was mentioned in the most recent Indie World was on sale. And I went through that list, and unfortunately, while it was not on there, it was on sale anyway. It was Death's Door because I told Huber I would play it.
Death's Door is not a that's sorry, Death's Door. You're not in the. What am I thinking of? It's just like little known game does good. That is not Death's Door at this point. Like many people are talking about that.
Used to do this on FriendGo's opening segment for a little while. Like what were the top eShop, because it has the category for bestsellers, and you can see like what the top like 20 or 10, 20. And I used to ask like what the top 5 were, and I had to.
I'm just picking up the slack.
Yeah, but
from you and your old friend code segments. Oh, is that the show that's behind you, Damiani? Is that your show?
Yeah.
I love that the drink.
Forgot to change it.
Move your head to the right just a little bit. I love that there's the bottle there. I love that there's the Sanpelli.
Yeah, it's part of the set. Yeah.
Accurate.
Pikachu and Sanpelli. It's a good time, that friend code. Curse of the Dead Gods. Shout out to Huber.
Oh, yeah.
Ender Lilies.
Yeah, good game. Good Metroidvania.
Speak of it. Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, I think Isla was praising it too.
Doki Doki Literature Club Plus! Exclamation point. Spelunky 2.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Road 96, which a lot of people are saying is one of the kind of the exclamation points on this list. They're like, I'm familiar with that game, but I didn't think
I didn't expect
I would
it to
seeing
sell.
it in this video. Yeah.
As well as these other ones, sorry.
And you mentioned before, Damiani, not only was there a sale, there was a sale on like all these games. So it's not, it's not
Big
that
sales,
mystic,
yeah.
kind of like why this happened. But I am curious to see which one of these games stand out. Subnautica and Subnautica Below Zero. Brad, which you watched a Frame Trap, right?
Yeah, I beat Below Zero this year actually too.
Oh, cool.
I'm caught up, baby.
How did that hold up to the original?
Good. It was
the previous
different
content.
It was different enough.
Littlewood, one word. Littlewood.
I'm blanking on this one.
Brad, anything?
No, I don't know.
Got him. I intentionally didn't look these up because we're talking about the top Switch games, so I thought Damiani would be coming in with Islanders Console Edition. He knows what that is, right? Islanders
What?
Console Edition? Islanders Console Edition. Okay.
This obviously means that this game came out on a different platform before.
Mobile before, maybe.
These indie games are getting big sales despite you, Damiani. Slime Rancher Plortable Edition.
Sure. Yes.
Okay.
Plortable Edition, which Google Docs really wanted to correct, but I wouldn't let it. Eastward, which is getting a lot of buzz.
You know about Eastward.
And Axiom Verge 2.
Yeah.
Which is one of those that you kind of have to check the math to be like, yes, that is an independent game. But is that, it's just kind of like Death's Door, something that's coming with such a pedigree. And unlike a Cyber Shadow or Curse of the Dead Gods, isn't trying to kick off a new IP. They've really done that with a lot of success. So yeah, anything, just looking back, you mentioned Road 96, but was anything like truly shocking on this list? Or are we agreeing with Blood that, hey, if you can get your indie game, your franchise sequel, your whatever, if Nintendo calls and they say they want that Bayonetta 3 exclusivity, you should seriously consider it.
Guess it's good to hear some of these games I didn't expect to sell so well.
Spelunky 2 had timed exclusivity, which a lot of people saying worked out really well.
But like Ender Lilies, I didn't expect really to be a big game or anything. But hell yeah. Same with Cyber Shadow. That game's sick.
Do you feel the power of that? Are you holding it in your hands right now, Damiani, a Nintendo Switch?
I'm just curious to see what
Joy-Cons
on the
you got on that
eShop, if any of those are in the best sellers right now.
Let me see the Joy-Cons. What Joy-Cons you got on that?
Oh, this is the OLED.
Yeah, why don't you hold it? Okay, nice.
Yeah. The
Emmy Elite
white ones. But yeah, best sellers right now. Sorry, I know this is not what you planned, but I just want to see if there's what the highest placing indie game is on here.
Nice.
Among Us.
Sure.
If you want to count that, and then, I mean, if you want to count Overcooked, I mean, Among Us is number 4 right now. Overcooked's 5.
I'm here to promote Overcooked.
Those were not in there. Yeah, Overcooked 2. Stardew Valley still doing very well. Yep. Oxenfree.
This is why
Hades, because Hades just got the Hugo Award, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, God, spoilers, sure.
Stick Fight Me. It is on here. It's number 20.
Oh, Stick Fight Me?
Or sorry, Stick Fight the game. Sorry,
There it is. Okay.
I misread it.
I'll stick fight you, Damiani. I don't care.
Yeah, and Unpacking right here, Unpacking 23. So yeah, they're charting pretty well.
I would say, Brad, the Switch games don't look as good as other consoles. Conversation is dead and buried. Like, it just doesn't.
To an extent, for a lot of indie games, it doesn't matter as much, but for other things, it sure as hell does.
Yeah, but I mean, I think consumers are. I don't know if like a lot of consumers are getting duped by that. I wonder how Guardians runs. I know the GTA
Guardians is like
the GTA trilogy does
game.
not run well. I was excited to play GTA 3 on that over the holidays, and then I was like, ooh, this runs horribly.
Yeah.
Let me play that on PS5 before I go home. But I mean, when you have like Overcooked, there's so many games that just don't, that don't need it necessarily.
I mean, true. There have been some smaller titles that have had performance issues on Switch, though. That were either cleaned up or they attempted to clean them up. One of them, because I didn't review it on Switch, but I tried it out, was that a few years ago, G.R.R.M, because I played that, I believe, on PS4 or PC version of that, which ran pretty well, but the Switch version was, not in a very good place at launch. So I think, you're right, generally, Jones. I think, but if a customer jumps into it and it starts not running very well, they're going to be like, what's up with this?
Yeah, Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, which of course are multi-platform, strangely did not work really well on Switch, which a lot of people are reporting. Yeah, the Pokemon, you get those in every console. PC players, they love that Pokemon franchise.
Yeah, they sure do.
Yeah,
that's why they had to make their own version, whatever it's called. That
so lost right
Tim
now.
Tam.
You okay, Damiani?
Wait, I thought you said Pokemon Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl are multi-platform titles. They're on multiple systems.
They're not? You're telling me that Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl are exclusive to the Nintendo Switch?
I fell for the bait.
But I'm hearing all sorts of reports that those aren't working well. How can it not work well?
Wow.
If it's made exclusively. It's a big franchise.
Yeah, what?
See, again, Brad, it just doesn't matter. Especially for all these games, I can't, I can't really think of any one of these that would be compromised.
It's got the handheld factor, Jones. People give it a break.
You played something like on PC, both versions. Would you see that? Could you imagine that being fun on the Switch? As fun?
Fine. I don't like playing in handheld mode. I just don't like playing games like that. For people who do, yeah. And it's just, if you only got a Switch, hey, at least you can still play it.
Would love to see if they have any internal research, because they do about household data. But the whole mobile thing, we've just kind of bought into it, and it's been the mantra and the MO, of the Switch. And while it does have selling power, part of me has to wonder at this point if it's not the handheld option that's bringing people in. It's
they have great library.
It's not the it's library, but also you can get a Switch Lite for so cheap, or OG Switch for cheaper than the other consoles, but also kids, adding an extra system to a household. I think that's what Nintendo was always shooting for, is that price point and making it more durable. And yes, handheld for a kid, because a kid wants to take wherever they want to go. It's not for our version of why we like it being handheld, because I want to go travel with it. It's kids generally no, they don't stay still, they don't stay in one place all the time. So hooking up a console and stuff only works for so long. Then they want to run off and go do something else. They're just toting that Switch with them all over the place and stuff. I even was told, my nephew's really into video games now, and my brother and was telling me we're gonna get him a Switch next holiday season. It's too soon for him, but we want to get him one, because we want to get over the other systems, because he's all over the place, and where's he gonna get him the one, which one, we'll ask you the question which one we should get him, the Switch Lite, get him the Switch Lite that's nice and durable, all in one piece, so you don't lose a Joy-Con or something. And they just drop the thing, step on it, it's probably not gonna break, whereas console, it's you want to spend $500-$600 on something, for a little kid. I think that's part of such a big deal with Switch, honestly, is rethinking what we mean when it's portable. It's durable, I think, is another point to add to it.
Yep.
Grinding in Shin Megami Tensei 5 portable on the plane. fantastic. I watched Fast and Furious 9 and played Shin Megami Tensei 5 at the same time. Just grinding, just running in circles and grinding.
Jones.
You know, like I fought all these demons before.
Does SMT5 have auto battle? And if it doesn't, do you wish it does?
Oh, it definitely does. Oh, it does for sure. But one of the things that's great about we're talking about Switch games. One thing that's great is it's a button press. It's not a setting that it just does it every time. You have to tell it, and it prompts like, "Are you sure?" So it's Y and then A. And what I'll do is, because my understanding of Shin Megami Tensei 5's battle system is you hit that elemental match and then you get more turns. And so the first 2 or 3 turns of any battle, I'll do all of those manually just to get the guys going and
set
then
up, yeah.
battle. And then, okay, go. You know, it's like they're all weak enough, or I took out the one tough guy. So I did a little mix of both. You know, works out. But yeah, go Switch. It's just kind of fun. Kudos to Nintendo for coming out with that stuff. And it's funny you mentioned Switch being good for kids. Milo grabbed it off my desk. I come into my office and he's just about to boot up SMT5. I'm like, I think I'm fighting a spider demon right now, buddy. I'm not sure if I don't know if that's your cup of tea. But just like Dominic said, when he's 3, oh yeah, time to catch some demons. And I got more lists. I ain't stopping there.
Oh.
I don't recall which allies were on the podcast when I talked about a weird Steam list where a independent, I believe it was Steam ID, is an independent team other than Valve that tried to discern what they think is what makes a good Steam, like a top Steam game. They're mixing up all sorts of different metrics. Okay. And a lot of the comments on that episode were like, what? That is a weird list. It was kind of like the Steam Indie list. I wanted to see if any names stuck out. Well, Valve is here, and they got their top selling, their top new releases, and their most played. Oh. And predictably, there's just not a lot of surprises on this list. But I still have them. Should we go? Brad, you like lists. Should I go through all of these? You just want to know the top selling? And we maybe see if anything stands out?
How long is the list? Is it 10?
Yeah, it was like 10. There's
let's go through it.
And again, these are in no particular order. Top selling, Apex Legends, PUBG, Counter-Strike Global Offensive, Battlefield 2042, which is maybe a little bit surprising. Naraka Blade Point, who sent us a fantastic Christmas present that I'm bringing in the studio next week. Thank you, Naraka Blade Point. Not a lot of Naraka coverage coming from Easy Allies. Dead by Daylight, Destiny 2, New World, Brad, which is nice. Which I'm going to actually, my buddies finally jumped on our server. I'm going to start spending a little more time there next year. Rainbow Six Siege, Valheim, Dota 2, of course, and Grand Theft Auto 5.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
So yeah, nothing
free-to-play games on there.
Usual suspects.
There.
Almost reads like a top Twitch categories list as well. Close.
What are the most usual suspects, Damiani? 3 of those have been running for 6 years, top sellers.
Well, I mean, Grand Theft Auto is obviously one of them.
2 more. You don't need me to reread this list.
Yeah, you do.
To tell me what are the 2 other than GTA 5 biggest games on Steam.
I mean,
it's just like not League of Legends.
I mean,
and not PUBG. Sadly, I bet PUBG wishes they were in that top
Apex?
3. Dota 2 and CS:GO.
Oh, Dota 2.
Okay,
yeah.
Running.
Of course.
I was just saying because they've been. I was like, which are the longest ones? I was like, keep forgetting.
I forgot about CS:GO for a minute.
I forgot you said Dota 2. That was the one I was blanking. I was like, you said one obvious one. I can't remember its name right now. And it's like Dota 2. Yeah, it's been around forever. And CS:GO, man,
just gonna keep going forever.
Feels like that wasn't that recent, but it is, or it was recently, but it's not.
Yeah, CS:GO's old, man.
PUBG and Rainbow Six Siege are for 5 years, and Destiny 2 is 3 because they couldn't be on the list because they were on Battle.net until 2019.
Oh, yeah.
But again, Ubisoft, just shout out to the whole Rainbow Six team. I hope you're all enjoying your jobs and because it definitely has looks like a bright future. The top new releases, specifically just this last year, Age of Empires 4, Back 4 Blood, Forza Horizon 5, Outriders, Valheim, Halo Infinite, Resident Evil Village, Battlefield 2042, New World, Mass Effect Legendary Edition, Naraka Blade Point, and Farming Simulator 22.
Good old Farming Simulator.
Yeah, good old farming.
Gotta have that. Noticed a few Microsoft entries on that list right there. Yeah. Seem to be doing pretty well on Steam, maybe? Yeah.
Yeah.
The times are a-changing. And especially, too, like Sony getting a lot of their stuff, like on PC. It's like, get on these lists. We'll see. Interesting to see how these lists will change, as predictable as they can be. And the most played is like basically the same list. as
Dota 2.
Dota 2, Counter-Strike,
CS:GO.
New World, CSGO, Apex, Halo Infinite. Even in just that short amount of time. Halo Infinite, Grand Theft Auto 5. 2 others that we have not spoke of until this point. Not top new releases and not top selling, but most played of 2021.
Minecraft? Is that on there?
No, I don't. Yeah, I don't think Minecraft's on Steam. I'm not sure. I think you
I'll
maybe have
guess
to go
one
through
because
Microsoft to get it.
It peaked, but I don't know if it would make the top 10 list. Did 14 make that list or no?
No.
Oh, Team Fortress 2?
No. But I know your love. I know your love of that franchise. Rust was one of them.
Oh, Rust.
gosh,
okay.
Rust.
Okay, makes sense.
And Cyberpunk 2077.
Wow, okay. Yeah.
Of course.
Because it's not a short game, so it doesn't.
It's not.
Doesn't mean a lot of people are spending money on it, or it's
Oh, a lot of people bought that.
and it did not
Steam.
come out this year, but a lot of people spending time with the Cyberpunk. And there you go, Steam players. They're your top games of 2021.
Nice.
This is too big for also this week, which we are rapidly approaching. But the CEO of Roblox is doing some pretty tricky taxes.
Uh-oh.
And it's gonna take a second to explain, and I'm not really expecting a long conversation.
Rich people math coming up.
Yeah, it's just funny. Rich people math is so funny, and it sucks, but here we are. And I think you, as the listener of the Easy Allies podcast or our viewer, you should have this information. The New York Times is leading this story. All of what I'm about to say is completely legal. He has not done anything. He's not in trouble at all for this. I don't think the board, with these articles getting written, is going to make his life tougher. Of course, I speak of David Baszucki, who is the CEO of the Roblox Corporation, which was founded in 2004. There's a tax cut from the 90s called the Qualified Small Business Stock, or QSBS, which is so fun.
Yes.
It was created to promote investments in startups by shielding company profits from taxation. So they're like, not only do we want you to not have to deal with taxes, people who invest in your company, we don't have to deal with taxes either. Originally, when it was written, it was for half of profits up to $10 million, and then they later changed that to just 10 mil. For 10 mil, you don't have to worry about if you're investing in a startup. When the Roblox Corporation was founded in 2004, it qualified for QSBS. This means that it had to have assets at or below $50 million. As a Disney fan and a Mighty Ducks fan, I think, Brad? Mighty Ducks fan?
Yeah.
Of the film and maybe the new Disney Plus, I don't know if you're that familiar with the Anaheim Mighty Ducks, the actual hockey team.
Yes.
When Disney created the Anaheim Mighty Ducks, they specifically set them at a $50 million value.
That's funny.
And
I did
Congress,
not know that.
And Congress was like, wait. They were like, you're not...
Disney, yeah.
Disney's not going to qualify.
That's funny.
So they were like, okay, let's be very clear, which is just funny. It's like weird Disney things come up with John Madden's history. It's like, there's always some weird Disney story about them doing funky business. The problem with it is you can gift stocks to friends and family. They qualify, but you still control the cash. You still are, you can create this web, which you can maybe disguise, or if you're Baszucki, you do it 12 times. It's called stacking. His mother-in-law started doing it last year.
Roblox stacking.
Roblox, so wholesome, man. Politicians know this sucks. They know they shouldn't do this. They are actively trying to change it. The cost of that effort is estimated at $60 billion over the next decade.
Wow.
Cheers. to Baszucki. You know, Star Trek, they name maneuvers after captains. They got Riker maneuver. They got a, Picard maneuver. This is the Baszucki maneuver. He will go down in history. Kudos. That's impressive. Also, in the past 2 weeks, dun dun dun, Nintendo eShop had some server issues on Christmas there, Damiani. They are, of course, fixed now because stuff comes and goes.
This always happens. All the companies
happens.
warn that there's going to be a lot of congestion on Christmas Day.
We didn't get any DDoS attacks though. That happens sometimes.
No, it's a surplus of people getting new consoles, rushing on. Everyone goes on that day to buy stuff or gifts with their new consoles, so they just see heavier use. But yes, you are right. There hasn't been any attacks.
Xbox Live and PSN, those have gone down legendary times.
Yeah.
So thank you, hackers, for giving us a Christmas. The Amiga A500 which no one at Easy Allies really cares about, will be out on March 25th. It's going to feature 25 games. I don't know what those 25 games are. Moving on. The Hugo Award will gave out their first best video game to Hades. Due to pandemic and maybe development time, the staff couldn't go there. Greg Kasavin? Kasavin. I always want to say Kasavin.
No, it is Kasavin, I think. It's Kasavin.
Okay.
I think it's Kasavin.
Who's a wonderful guy and they're a great team. Recorded a video, but he couldn't be there in person, which is a bummer because it is the Hugo Award, because it's typically such just a literature thing. I really enjoy Greg, like smoking a pipe and being like in a library setting or something, and they're like, I really liked the Portrait of Zeus. I would love for him to have those conversations with literary giants. Really good writing in that game. Team 17 is no longer publishing the first-person shooter Ready or Not, because a level apparently focuses on a school shooting. You are SWAT members, so you are probably going in to stop this. Obviously, no details or anything. It was a very amicable split, but it's just interesting when you have like a level of a game that like publishers out. Danny Trejo is now starring in 2 free Far Cry 6 missions, if you missed that over the holidays. Hot Wheels Unleashed announced $1 million in sales.
Yo.
I want more DLC for that. I want more. Yes. We've gotten like 3 DC updates. Thank you. Battlefield 2042's first season reportedly won't be released until March 2022.
Wow.
That's so
reportedly. It hasn't happened yet.
Yikes.
No details. That came from Michael Huber via Slack with an emoji of a face palm.
Huber's the source, everyone. I'm just kidding.
So Huber, yeah. Daybreak Games is now developing and publishing Magic the Gathering Online, which Bloodworth was surprised to find out has been around for a super long time. Final Fantasy XVI's development has been delayed by half a year. At least we found out, I think, before the end of the year what was happening.
Yep.
But they said we're finding out in spring 2022. We're going to get our next...
We'll see it, yeah.
Our next glimpse.
Yeah. That was expected, honestly.
Yeah.
When
Which
we
is
got
why
to the
I
end
didn't
of
make
the
it a
year.
headline. Yeah.
The one small thing, the explanation he gave, I've seen some people, maybe like everyone's been mostly in good faith, but I've seen some people ask like, well, why did it take so long to get this pipeline figured out? Because in 2020 they had to figure out the Final Fantasy XIV pipeline because 14 got delayed. Like all of its content updates got a permanent delay by 3 months. That's why the expansion came out so much later. And then why all the patches that were supposed to come out after were delayed because they had to work through that system of remote work. They weren't really set up for it. So him and a bunch of other teams set that up, and that was within Square Enix. If you read the message that Naoki Yoshida gave out, he's talking about outside organizations they're working with. Obviously, they're working with third-party entities to work on this big game. It sounds like not all of them are as well equipped to deal with work from home as they are. So it sounds like they've run into some speed bumps with that. So yeah, people are like, well, didn't Square Enix already do this a year ago and now they're doing it again? It's like, well, it sounds like they don't want to pass the buck. They don't want to throw anyone under the bus, but they're also like, yeah, we work with other people too, and just ran into some issues. It's like, yeah, it sounds like. And also, this dude's not going to let this game come out unless it's like looks good. The next time it showed off, next time we see it, this spring reveal, we have to see we have to see HUD gameplay. Like I think it's like like he understands the expectations.
Yep.
Riot Games reached a $100 million settlement. 20 mil of that is going to lawyer fees. The rest is going to all the female employees involved in the suit from 2014 on. So
yeah.
Nice. That worked out for them. Sonic's Green Hill Zone Lego playset goes on sale on January 1st for $69.99.
I think it looks good.
It does look good.
It does look good.
It does.
I found out when I was streaming Jones, and chat told me get ready for this abomination, and I was like, this looks good. And they were like, no, the stickers look bad. I'm like, no, it looks good. Like Robotnik's head maybe, but like the rest of it looks pretty good.
Pretty good.
Yeah, I thought
I like it more than the Mario stuff. It's like an actual
it
Lego
looked
set.
more authentic than the Mario stuff. So
the Mario set, I don't even understand.
I don't know about
what
our
it is.
Easy Allies chat sometimes.
Remedy's next game, or one of their next upcoming games, they have dubbed Vanguard, is the in-production title.
Yeah, that's co-op, like the Control Universe one, I believe.
It'll be a co-op PvE shooter, and that's like their first big thing with Tencent, that they've announced what they are doing. But knowing Tencent, there could be a lot more on the way. And the latest Halo Infinite tournament that I believe took place in Raleigh forced Microsoft to use dev kits because they ran out of Xboxes.
Oh, man, that's crazy.
Console shortage is real. because of chip shortages.
Even if you're Microsoft.
Yeah.
And they were very kind about it, and I'm sure no one cared.
Sure, yeah.
Really. Just here to play some Halo. Let's play a game!
Okay.
This is from G the Finger. Thank you for this, G. Read my mind. Legendary football coach, commentator, and video game icon John Madden died this week at the age of 85. To celebrate his contributions to the industry and his endless quotables, let's play a game I call Stark Raving Madden. Below are 8 quotes. All you have to do is attribute the quote to either Mr. Madden himself or a seemingly irreverent video game character, adoration and admiration. Are we ready? The only yardstick for... I will not be doing a Madden impression. I respect the man too much. The only yardstick for success our society has is being a champion. No one remembers anything else. Was that John Madden?
Yeah, that's gotta be John Madden, right?
No,
Or
not Madden.
Or Blue from Pokemon Red and Blue.
Oh.
Oh.
John Madden.
Madden?
That was Madden.
Yeah.
Were you saying it's
That's
maybe somebody else?
I can't see Pokemon dialogue saying that.
Hold on to that Madden connection. If you can't run with the big dogs, stay on the porch. Was that Madden or Lamar Davis from GTA 5?
That's funny.
Please play
Oh,
GTA
man.
5.
I'm gonna say GTA 5.
That was Madden.
Oh, man.
Yeah, that's funny.
If you have a dream, don't wait. Act. One of life's little rules. Was that John Madden or Axel from Kingdom Hearts?
That's John Madden.
I think it's John Madden, yeah.
That's Axel Brad. I'm disappointed.
Which Kingdom Hearts is He's in like 4 of them, dude.
I hear there's a bit of dialogue in each of those games, Brad.
Yeah.
Don't worry about being Don't worry about the horse being blind. Just load the wagon. Was that John Madden or Dutch Vanderland from Red Dead Redemption 2?
Dude, I'm gonna say Dutch.
Madden.
That's too funny.
I'm going with Madden.
That's Madden.
That's awesome.
Don't worry about the horse being blind. Just load the wagon. Man, I sure do love my dangerous, thankless job. Was that John Madden or a random grunt from Halo Infinite?
That's really funny.
Man, I sure do love my dangerous, thankless job.
I guess it's Halo.
Dangerous. Madden?
Halo?
No, that's the grunts from Halo, who I've not played Infinite's campaign yet, but I guess I have, they're very funny. I've heard a lot of people say, don't kill him so fast, just listen to him talk. The road to Easy Street goes through the sewer. Is that John Madden or Rocket Raccoon from Eidos Montreal's Guardians of the Galaxy?
Rocket?
The road to Easy Street goes through the sewer. That's Madden.
Damn. Madden.
Madden.
Your dialogue, man.
She wrote video game dialogue, man.
Everybody loves a bad idea when it works. Is that Madden or Cade 6 from Destiny 1?
Destiny.
Destiny.
6.
That's Cade.
Yeah,
Cade 6.
it's gotta be.
And finally, here's a guy who can use his arms and legs at the same time. Is that John Madden or Handsome Jack from Borderlands the Telltale series?
Oh, God.
Madden? Sounds like you're talking about a dual threat quarterback.
Yeah, I'll just say Handsome Jack.
That is the late, the great Mr. John Madden.
John Madden.
Out.
Legend.
Madden.
Damn,
Legend.
I didn't know he had so many great lines.
He's so funny.
Yeah, damn.
Thank you for that game. Those picks for all of the video game characters are 10 out of 10.
That was good.
Oh, dude. Well, I got back from vacation and did not stop by the studio. Therefore, I do not have the necessary cast member for our upcoming segment.
No.
Respect. Can we do it on 3? Can we all?
Sure.
Do it on just hum it? Are you ready? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Love and respect.
I will make that time out. It might not have timed out with our lips, but I'll figure it out and edit. Don't worry. From Happy Gaming. Over the holidays... Is Milo joining? No, Milo knocked on the door. Over the holidays, I played through all of Spider-Man Miles Morales, and it's been such a refreshing experience.
Nice.
After playing so many games that can take upwards of 50 to 100 plus hours to do everything, it was extremely nice to have a game that took some of the best points from a game that I loved and trimmed the fat for a new and more digestible experience. Not quite a full sequel, not quite DLC either. In the past, we've seen these in franchises like Far Cry, Dishonored, Wolfenstein, but for some reason or another, they're few and far between. Why aren't these done more often? And what are some other franchises that you'd like to see a standalone, trimmed down version of a pseudo-sequel to the full game?
Heck yeah. I wish they would do this more. I wonder, I have to imagine it's just consumers will be angry that they spent $60, $70 on something and they're expecting like 20, 30, 40 plus hours. And the genre I want to see it happen to in game series, what happen to most is the ones that people would probably complain the most about, like JRPGs. I'd love to have the next Tales of game just be like 15, 20 hours max. Just like, I don't need to traverse big, if there's not meaningful stuff to do in the big open area, just move along. Like, let's just like do a little cutscene, maybe have like one battle here and like, let's move on in the plot. Like, we don't need to stay here. Like grinding. I know you Jones might disagree with me, but like I don't really need grinding in every game. It's not really grinding. It's just like the game's design is like you need to fight some enemies because you need to level up a little bit, but you probably could get by if you didn't. But I would love to see like a Tales game just like not be, be 15. I feel like they'd do better if they were like 15-hour games, 15, 20-hour games.
Assassin's Creed.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we've gotten weird offshoots, but nothing like the standard. Yeah, even the DLC is just like buckle up.
Do the opposite of Valhalla.
Even if they like reuse maps, I wouldn't be mad with like a new character or something.
Yeah,
like going back to old maps.
Yeah, I mean, dress it up a little like they did in Spider-Man. Make it winter, different season.
I mean Halo. I mean Assassin's Creed Infinite's gonna. They're probably all locked and loaded with all that content.
Yeah.
I think this might be blasphemous, but I think Persona could benefit from a 20-hour game.
20 hours Persona.
A totally new thing, a new story, a new offshoot. Maybe like in between that's kind of teasing where the next
you could tell
game
a
is going
smaller
to take
story.
place.
Sure,
but I just think, I think or even like a Yakuza, something where it's like, I mean, from what I heard, Yakuza Like a Dragon is like fun but long. It's
some of them
a lot of hours. But could be fun.
Yeah,
those are admittedly two franchises I've not spent enough time with. And hey, if Bully 2 or a new SSX has to be 10 hours and $15, I'll take it. From Klaus Larson. Hey, allies. I'm playing through Final Fantasy VII Remake on PC right now. And while playing, I'm wondering what went wrong with Final Fantasy XIII.
Ooh.
Not where you saw this going.
Yeah. That was
so my question is, what were the differences between these two games? And interpret that as you want. I don't know if Klaus is talking specifically about Remake or 7. I think the original 7 maybe. That made one game awesome and the other one of the most disappointing games ever.
Set dressing and the illusion of having more to do on your point A to B linear path. Final Fantasy XIII has a really good battle system, but its biggest problem is it feels like you do nothing when you're running across each of the environments. It feels like you're just going down corridors. And once the novelty of this looks nice wears off, there's really nothing else to it. Mm-hmm. They don't have FF XIII Remake has the banter that goes on sometimes. I was
going to say, FF XIII has really good characters.
Yeah. The density of those environments where it makes you think like there's a lot of things there to look and see at. It keeps the illusion up better, I think. Mm-hmm. And linear's not like, it's not that linear's bad. It's just if you're just making something linear, you have to know that it comes with some, extra, work that's going to need to be done to make it interesting because you're losing the thrill of exploration. You're losing that thrill of the unknown. Like when you have, even if it's not an open world game, even something like a Final Fantasy XII or Xenoblade Chronicles, where you have a big open environments, that's enough to satiate people's curiosity because, ooh, what's over here? I want to see what's over here. This is you don't have that in a 13, and they didn't do anything else to address that shortcoming. And by the time you got to Grand Pulse, it was too late, in my opinion. They couldn't really salvage that. So 7 Remake just pretty much learned its lesson. It's still a very linear game.
Yeah.
But man, they just looked at all the other games that have done it so much better because they even did it better themselves too. Final Fantasy X
I was going to say
did
10
a few years before. Yeah. 5-6 years earlier, 10 years earlier, Final Fantasy X did it pretty well for its time. So they just botched it.
Yeah.
Is that succinct, do you think? Brad,
I think that's
said what's
definitely 100% right. Yeah,
needed
definitely.
To be said. I'll tell you this: I played Final Fantasy XIII for Trailer Academy, show I had back at Game Trailers, and enjoyed the first 6 hours.
Yeah, sure.
It was my time with it. I was like, okay, this would If you paid me, I would maybe finish this. But that was the episode was over, so I moved on to something else.
Pay up.
From Cutter Hicks. Hello, allies. I just joined the Patreon because I've been a huge fan of the show for a while, and I wanted to finally support you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Eleanor. Anyways, my topic covers physical versus digital media, which we have spoken of before, but I got two fun panelists here and just the two of you, and Cutter Hicks became a patron, so I want to give him, get the question out there. This generation, I decided to start with the Series X because of the amazing backwards compatibility, and we'll eventually get a PS5 down the line if you're lucky, fingers crossed. One thing I noticed is that the PS5 is getting more physical media compared to the Xbox, and I always prefer to own a game physically. I know it sounds weird since nowadays most physical games are installed and the disc is just a license to play said game, but I just like the peace of mind knowing that I can see what I own physically. Do you guys have a problem owning a game digitally over physically? Any worries?
I mean, I usually always want to own physical if I can, because I like collecting it. And just having it easily, like, I love that I just have my old games. I could pop them into my system whenever I want. I don't have to worry about a service or anything like that. So, yeah, I always try to go physical. But, I mean, there's obviously benefits to digital, too.
Yeah, I'm same thing. Usually when I buy something physical anymore, it's very rare. It's something that I want to have, like, for collector's purposes. Digital, it's a question about ownership, and when it comes to digital, like, you really don't own this stuff, so it could go away. But you just in your question, you kind of brought up the biggest counter argument to physical going forward is that physical games more and more for newer systems are a little more than just like a license or the thing to get you started. If, say, internet or goes away, or you lose internet, or game gets delisted and there's no more way to update it, then you're still stuck in the same predicament as a digital copy owner. You basically still can't play the game because the rest of the game needs to be downloaded and they're not letting you download anymore. For older games, absolutely. When it comes to retro catalogs, I think like it's nice to have these services like with especially like with the Switch, with the NES and SNES catalog, and previously their Virtual Console. When both Microsoft and Sony doing the same thing with some of their like older games. If you have the physical version of that game, even if the game gets delisted from their store for whatever reason, you have it. Plus, some older versions of original games have stuff in them that aren't in the newest version, like Crazy Taxi. You go buy the digital version of that, you're not getting the music you probably expected in that game. You're not getting yeah. You're not getting that song in that version. You got to go get the real, like the real version. Yeah, the real version, the physical version.
Thank you for bringing that version to these podcast, though, Damiani. I really appreciate that. It's a gosh darn good song. I am actively hunting down the Follow That Bird DVD because it has like interviews and stuff. And thanks to Milo, I've seen that movie over 100 times easily. And I'm just like, damn it, it's got interviews and behind this, on set photos. Shit, I'll spend $20 on that.
In terms of more physical on PlayStation, I guess is at this time Microsoft is pushing you to be a subscription service. Not buy their games necessarily, subscribe to their thing. Like, yeah, you can buy a lot of games, but PlayStation's still pushing, for now at least, to buy our games. So that could be a big part of it. Like, a lot of people are like trained for Game Pass. They're trained not to buy a game. If a game comes out and it's not on Game Pass, they're like, what the hell, man? Why isn't this on Game Pass?
Yeah, exactly. Everybody just got Xbox Series S for Christmas, and the first thing they're like, "Oh yeah, I'm getting Games Pass, right? That thing has a ton of games on it. Like, I'm not gonna have to buy a game on it." I'm like, well, yeah, that's their thing. That's what they're doing. Yeah.
Shout out to Kyle Bossman, friend of mine, who's on the podcast a couple weeks back. When he was in town last for the Game Awards, gave me speaking of Microsoft, an Xbox 360 game that I was debating for a long time whether I actually want to pay shipping to do this or just wait when it might come to Game Pass someday.
Bully?
And that is Captain America Super Soldier, playable in 3D. It says in the box,
dude,
playable in 3D, voiced by Chris Evans. He plays
sick.
Cap in the game. And I guess some people have, I can't remember who said it, but somebody once said, quote, Arkham vibes. And I was like, that's all you had to say. Wow. Captain America plus that. And I think it was clearly like we'll do that as well game, but hey, if it ain't broke. So I'm looking forward to finding out wherever my 360 is after I moved, plugging it in and playing that, I don't know, sometime next year. one of you is about to win this podcast. You're nothing without me. No one who'd go undefined. You wouldn't exist. You'd never be missed. I tell you, you're out of my mind. A show off, a blow hard. You're equal parts hot air and wars.
Or wars.
Who wants to go first?
I'll go first. I never go first.
Mario or Luigi?
Oh, bro. Okay. Listen to me out there. I love them both, but I'm going to have to go Mario because Mario gets the spotlight. He goes on the Odysseys. Luigi gets stuck in a mansion sucking up ghosts. Mario's saving the galaxies. I love Luigi, but it's Big Brother Mario.
Damiani.
You don't see Luigi in Mario RPG.
You don't.
He's not there. Didn't make the cut.
Yeah.
As a playable character.
Didn't make the original 64 cut, right, Damiani? You add him later.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Got to mod that game to get a green hat on. Damiani, right. Your 20s or your 30s so far?
This sucks.
A lot heavier question.
Yeah, what the hell? I thought you were talking about decades. I'm like 20s or 30s. Like, yeah. I'm not.
How we doing?
Let's get personal. How you doing, Dom, man?
No, you can this could be a political question. This could be a gaming question.
I'm going to go by video games.
Go by gaming games.
I'm going to give it video games related. So, I got to start. And you know what, man? Some of the, like, greatest games came out in the 2000s. You know what? There've been good games in the decade since, obviously. But man, some of the, I don't know. Like I was in the moment. The 2000s were kind of like, I was kind of like laughing at it. I was like, man, like we moved away from retro games and we're in 3D now, and man, 3D looks goofy. I mean, it's cool to see 3D games, but man, this is gonna look so bad in like a few years. This is just like all looks like jank. And now it's like, you know what? These games are pretty good. So, I mean, mid 2000s to like mid 2010s, there, yeah, like PS2, yeah, the tail end of the PS2, Xbox, GameCube era, man. Some of the greats were on those systems, man. Metroid Prime. The original GTA trilogy. I mean, geez, Metal Gear Solid 2 and Metal Gear Solid 3. Yeah,
I'm convinced, but I don't want him to stop listing games, Brad.
Dude, when did Valkyria Chronicles come out in 2009? Yo, let's go. Galaxy games are both in the. Yeah, let's go.
Also, an intensely long Orwars answer, but
yes, sorry.
Yeah. What? No, it was a tough question, Damiani. You handled it with grace. And I thank you. Although I really liked your unpredictable answer with Mario, Brad. I think you defended it very well. I'm going to give this one to Damiani. Congratulations. Just a moment, though. You're nothing without me. No one who'd go undefined. You wouldn't exist. You'd never be missed. I tell you, you're out of my mind. A show off. A blow hard, you're equal parts hot air and wars.
Or wars.
Before we wrap it up, I want to talk to you about patreon.com/easyallies. You might be listening to this episode in 2022. Yes, it goes up the day on New Year's Eve, but it might be the next year. New Year at Easy Allies means a clean slate. Means big meetings, big events are being planned. All of this comes from patreon.com/easyallies. We have a lot of financial support from a lot of different people in a lot of different directions. The bulk of the operating funds that make Easy Allies happen go through patreon.com/easyallies. There's a lot of fun things you can find there, whether they inspire you to help us out financially, whether they inspire you to just get more involved in our community or check out shows you've never seen before. Give us a look at there. Do it for us because it's a new year. Make it your resolution. Or not. These people did, certainly in this last year. Our tremendous shout out here, one last time, folks, for this year. Shout out to Caleb Togi Crawford, Christian Semniak, L. Fanis, Greg the Dark Knight Kettering, and Nick. Shout out.
Shout out.
Michael Damiani. You get to promote any Easy Allies video you'd like to promote. You get the final word on anything you've disagreed with, want to reiterate, or just popped into your head, and you get to sign off with your trademark sign-off.
Sweet. Video. I'm gonna go with Blood's recent The Gunk review.
Ooh. Cut by
Dropping
Dawn.
What?
Cut by Dawn. Read by me
Cut by
in Florida.
Nice. That's what I was gonna say. Like blood taking a vacation time and still cranking out a review there. I was like, blood vacation, man. But I think he was really looking forward to this game. So check it out. Just dropped on youtube.com/easyallies. Thing I disagreed with.
Just reiterate or popped in your head, you know.
No, I thought I disagreed with something. You know what? Is it BM to go back to Ore Wars for your disagree on? That's a no. It's okay. Oh, you can't say. Okay. Well, you know what? I mean, I was totally sold by Brad's argument on Mario, except freaking Chris Pratt being the voice of Mario. No. Like, I feel like that's an insult to Mario. We'll have to see. I'll reserve final judgment till I see the Mario movie in a year, if it still comes out and on time. And Chris Pratt is very talented, but man, Mario, like, yikes. A little scared about that. Just a little scared. But not scared about Jack Black. And I'm going to keep it simple. Happy holidays, everyone, and see you in 2022.
Oh my god, sorry. I just remembered about the Prince of Persia remake.
The Easy Allies would like to thank our Patreon podcast producers. We apologize in advance for all the ally names we are about to misspell and mispronounce. Caleb Togi Crawford, Christian Semniak, L. Fanis, Greg the Dark Knight Kettering, Nick, Edgar M. Hernandez, Walker Hope, Will Schmuck, Alexander Zirianov, Alexandra Reyes, Ali Cat, Beaten Down Brian, Bradley Spees, Discarded Digit, Douglas Chomich, Ezdogal, Freya Lawson, Hayden Hargraves, Happy Gaming, Jay Shee, Jesse Blue, Jose Gutierrez, Miguel Rivas, Nicholas Johnson, Paulo Costabel, Richard G. Flowers, Robert Stoffel, Roy Sung, Sage Mode Q, Sigma, S-Snake24, Chum Nguyen, Valmar, Aurelien Grenier, Blue, Brandon White, Brian Kruger, Dale Sun, Dave Red, Gary James, G. Levin, James Vitt, Jesper Podmel Dufay, John Burns, Kroldemort, Lath, Luke Bennett, Mango, Marcel Markov, Maria Gabriela Ochoa Perez, Mark J. Betters II, Matthew Holcomb, Matthew Pauling, Nathan Watkins, Oni Blackmage, Pete Shoemaker, Rob Bob Will, Robert Crouch, Sam Handrick, Stepan Hakobian, Stephen Thomason, The Banana Forklift Killer, Tom Eierman, Rack, Zachary Wingate, 44 Stars, Accounts Payable, Adam Henry, Ahmed Al-Rashed, Alex Monaco, Alexander Irving, Andreas Risberg, Andre, Anthony Galvin, Barry Tomasini, Beastmaster 64, Bjarnar Haraldsvik, Blake Bonsack, Breadroll Art, Brian Foster, Briscoe Davis, Brittany Fuller, Bunny Chen, C.S. Lewis, Katie Garza, Chase Caldwell, Candy Coated Thorns, Chief Uhu, Christian Hundorf, Christoph Fatui, Christopher Santis, Clay Roberts, Cody Westley, Corey Jackson, Corey Landega, Culinary Stud, Cyberboa, Dakota Hayes, Damnable Nook, Dan Sebring, Daniel Wong, DanPan16, David Wilson, David Boyarski, Delisi, DF, Dimitri Zetas, Don Turner, DRD 7 of 14, Edison S. Prada Jr., Eric Maynard, Eric Tobias, Eric Gustafson, Espen Gotchman, Ethereal Ether, Faraz Rizvi, Fishflop, Forrest, From the Void, Gabriel Aberg, Glenn Olson, Gustav Strombaum, Hadi Ali, Helen Y., Hitman47, Hugo Aguilar, Isun Chor, Ian Anderson, Isaac Swanson, Jacob Lyon, Jay Aldiar, Jameson Lapine, Jana, Jason I, JC3, Jeffrey Ruchtenwald, Jeremy Ferris, Jesse Fish, Jesse Wilkeson, Jethrin, Joe Frantic, Joey Din, John Gallagher, Jojo Denko, Jordan Phillips, Joshua Vanswall, Jose Carlos Madrigal, Julius Garcia, Junya Motomura, Justin Payne, Carl Williams, Kevin Gillet, Leon Keys, Lindsay Wells, Linson Wu, Liam Ahern, Luis Ibarra, Lion Crown 19, Malcolm Moschette, Manuel Thomas, Marcel Giro 017 Froelich, Marco Hernandez, Materia Addict, Matthias Clare, Matt Ferguson, Matt Karwoski, Matthew Holmes, Matthew T. Ryan, Mazrim Tame, Megadet, Megan McDonough, Michael Bisegli, Michael Clendenan, Michael Pliskin, Michelle Nubb, Miguel, Mikhail Aniel, Mike Calvi, Mike Hook 1, Mike Mizek Novak, Misuki 211, Mithers Strongbeard, Mo Grant, Monica, Mr. Anarchy, Nefertiti Jenkins, Nycrypt, Nevi Sun, Ulf himself, Orugachino, Pablo Rodriguez, Paul Sway, Philip Higdon, Quinn Riley, RF Switch, Rafa David, Reed Johnson, Ritz 1906, Roy Eschke, Russell Bateman, Ryan Anderson, Sam Sorensen, Samuel Copeland, Sean Cornett, Sebastian Urban, Sebastian Trier, Sid Raghunanan, Sneaky Gato, Spluntot, Stefan Hines, Strikeout NZ, Super 3D Cow, T-Beaks15, Tense George, The Classiest Hobo, Tim Strothman, Thomas Blaze Fauchereau, Tim Mann, Tim O'Keefe, TJ Sullivan, Toasty Soul, Tom Masterman, Travis Ing, Trevor Thomas, Tristan Howard, Trizac, Tuttle, V8 Dave, V. Cura Ray, Volker Bach, Wavy Chula, Willow Pingree, Wobess, Wouter DeHaze, ZK.